Let's begin with today's class. So we are going to start now from Unit 1. So Unit 2, how much the initial part of that introduction is over, what is required to understand pointers and Unit 1. So we have covered that basic. Now we are moving to Unit 1 and the topic is about dynamic memory allocation and pointers in C. So we'll understand what is dynamic memory allocation, how can we use pointers, what is the definition of pointers, etc. here. So let's first again start with introduction to this first unit. Now this topic we are going to understand is about memory representation. All of you have been using computers and are aware that whenever you try to execute programs, or say you not only programs, you want to store something in the computer. So we have two kinds of memories there. One is the primary memory and the secondary memory. Then coming to programs, uh, you have executed C programs initially. So, and you declare the data types there, and you have the statements in your programs. So now, for the execution of this program, some memory has to be allocated from the computer's end. Okay. Now the data types, the four basic data types that we know is character, which occupies 1 byte, carry, which occupies 1 byte. Then you have int, which can occupy 2 or 4 bytes, depending on the internal architecture of the system. That is, on some systems, int will represent 2 bytes. On some systems, it might represent as 4 bytes. So that will depend on the internal architecture of what the laptop or the desktop is having. Then we have float with 4 bytes and double with 8 bytes and so on. Now you can see a diagram or an image here on the right hand side. Okay. Now what we need to understand here is, have a look here. There are some numbers written starting from 1001 moving up to 1010. The image that you see here, this rectangular image that you see here, is just a small block of memory from the computer's memory. Okay, this is just a small block. So likewise in the computer's memory, in actual time, there will be lot many such blocks. We have just taken one small block for our understanding here. Now the memory addresses can start from 0 and can go up to n number, right? So for our understanding, we have taken the memory addresses. These are the memory addresses which are in blue color, starting from 1001, 1002 and so on. And in actual, in the computer's memory, these memory addresses are in hexadecimal format. You have studied in computer fundamentals the different the different number representations, decimal number system, then hexadecimal number system. So in actual terms, in the computer's memory, the memory addresses. Now what is an address here? What in general also, if I say address, what is it? It is going to tell us where the location is existing. If I say plot number 106, Ramnagar, right? So this is an address. So this address will help me to go to that particular location. So similarly in computer also, you have memory addresses. Now these memory addresses actually are in terms of hexadecimal representation. But for our understanding and to understand the concept here, to visualize it, we have taken it in terms of simple decimal numbers. So you can see here, we are starting from 1001. Then come to the right side where it is written 1 byte. You can see here, for each line it is written as 1 byte. So each of the memory block in the computer is made up of 1 byte. Now what happens is, whenever we are going to say we declare a char variable, so just 1 byte is occupied. If we have to declare an int variable, which can be 2 or 4 bytes, let us assume now it is going to be for 2 bytes. So it will occupy 2 blocks. Each block in the computer's memory is just made up of 1 byte. Let me repeat once again. Okay, we are talking about memory representation in the computer system. So what we are trying to understand here is, whenever we have to work on certain programs, we declare certain things, or we need to work on the computer, certain memory from the computer is allocated to our file or to our program for the execution. Now, in the computer's memory, the how does that memory allocation actually look like? So this one block is shown here. Okay, this one rectangular box you can imagine to be the memory in the computer. Now, in when we talk about the memory, each of that block will have an address. So what is that memory address? So what are these memory addresses? These memory addresses will help us to understand where we have stored our variable, at what location in the computer, just like the normal addresses which tell us where is the location. So here also in the computer's memory, these are the memory addresses that are going to help us to fetch our values. Now, these memory addresses usually exist in terms of hexadecimal numbers. Okay, so for our understanding here, we have just taken these numbers here. So they can start from 0 and extend up to n. So we have taken just one simple block consisting of 10 bytes. Why 10 bytes? Each of the memory address. Now 1001. This one block, this is just one block. Okay, so this one block is made up of 1 byte. So like this, each of the memory blocks here will be made up of 1 byte each. So that is why we have here 10 bytes. So did you understand this? Did you understand the memory representation? Students, did you understand? Shall I repeat it?
No, ma'am. Understood.
Understood? All of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Please let me know. Did you understand? Unmute your mic and tell me. Did you follow this? This understanding is important before we proceed. If you have not understood, I will tell it once again.
No, ma'am, understood.
Okay. Now, have a look here. Okay, we'll proceed one by one. I have declared certain variables here on my left hand side. Just have a look first at the declaration. I have declared a variable of type integer and a is initialized to the value 10. Then I have declared another variable of type char, which is c, which is initialized to z. Then I have declared a variable called as pi of type float, which is holding the value 3.14. Then I have declared another array of type integer, which is just holding three three digits here, which is just holding three values, 10, 20, and 30. Okay. Now have a look here. What does this 101, 102, 1002, 1003 represent? What are these?
Those are the addresses.
Yes, these are the memory addresses. Now I told you that in the previous when we saw in the previous diagram here, we understood each address will have just 1 byte. Each addresses is allocated 1 byte here. Now that in the program we have seen that we tend to declare variables of different data types. So how is it actually allocated in the memory? So you can see here. First example we'll see int a is equal to 10. So you tell me integer is how many bytes? It can be 2 bytes or 4 bytes depending on internal representation of a computer or internal architecture of a computer. So now we will assume that it is going to be 2 bytes here. So now you can see how many blocks are allocated, which two memory addresses are trying to hold the value 10.
1001 and 1002.
Yes, 1001 and 1002. These two blocks. See, we had a line here in between. Since we are now trying to understand how each data type is stored in the memory, we can see that when we declare a data type of type integer, two blocks need to be allocated. So these two blocks are allocated to the variable A, which is holding the value 10. So you can see here I've written 2 bytes for variable A. Now also understand that whenever such values are stored, any data type, whenever any data type's values are stored in the variable, we always, when we say, if I ask you now, what is the address of 10? You should just take the first one. Just take the first byte from where that particular variable has started to store in the memory. That is 1001. So it is understood that since it is of type integer, the next byte also is going to be allocated. So you need not specify 1001 and 1002. So if you have to find the address of 10, we will say it is going to be 1001. Now let us go to the second one. We have declared another data type of char. Char takes how many bytes in the memory? It is going to take
1 byte.
Correct. It is going to take 1 byte. So we can see here it is allocated at the memory address 1003. So here you can see the value Z is stored at location or is stored at address 1003. And since it is of type char, only 1 byte is going to be allocated for Z. So similarly, you can trace the next one. So you can see here, next is of type float. Float takes how many bytes?
4.
4
bytes.
bytes. Correct. So from where is the address starting? Where is this particular value 3.14 stored? At which location?
1004.
1004.
1004 to 1007.
1007. Correct. Because we need 4 bytes. So you can count here. 1004 is 1 byte. 1005 is 2 bytes. 1006 3 bytes, and 1007 4 bytes. So you can see 4 bytes are allocated for a variable pi. Now the last one, which is an array of type integer. So integer, we are saying that it is going to take 2 bytes. Okay. So since we are having 3 values here, all 3 need memory location. So now you can see the first one, which is the first value in the array at the index A of 0, is the value is 10 here. At A of 0, we have the value 10. So the allocation is going to start from 1008. And since it is of type integer, these 2 bytes, this one block is allocated to the value 10. Next, we have the number 20. Here, A at 1, A of 1 is 20. So again, 2 bytes need to be allocated. So it will take 1010 and 1011. Similarly, the last value A of 2, which is 30. So that is going to be stored at the next 2 blocks. So totally can you tell me how many bytes are allocated for integer?
6 bytes.
How 6 bytes?
Because ma'am, array has initialized three elements, and each element contains 2 bytes. So all of it is 6.
Yes, all of it is going to be 6. So these two bytes make it 4, and these 2 bytes are going to make it 6. So totally we need 6 bytes for an array which is trying to hold just 3 values. So this is how the variables are going to be stored in the memory. The only thing that is going to change in actual terms is these memory addresses. These memory addresses will be represented in terms of hexadecimal numbers. Are you all following this? Did you follow this particular illustration of this image here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Then we will move ahead and we'll understand 2 important operators which are needed to work on pointers. Okay, we have not still reached to what is a pointer. We are still trying to understand this. Now we have 2 operators here. Let us have a look at the first one. The first one is called as the ampersand operator. This symbol ampersand is used. Okay, so have you used this symbol before anywhere in C programming?
Yes, ma'am. Always.
Always. Where?
Scanf.
Scanf
Yes.
statement.
For the scanf statement, you people have used the ampersand operator. So this operator is called as address operator. Okay, why address? What is the meaning of address? we are trying to get the memory location. Then what memory location are we trying to get? We are trying to get the memory location of any variable that we store. So basically you declare any data types, you declare and initialize those data types with those variables, try to put in the values to those variables. So all these variables are going to require the memory location. So if they require memory location, it means they are going to be stored somewhere. And where they are going to be stored, see, where they are going to be stored, we cannot tell. That the computer is going to allocate. So if we want to find out where this particular value is stored, then we can make use of this ampersand operator or the address operator. Okay, then see what this particular variable, the definition, let us have a look at. It is used to get the address of a variable. So you already know what is a variable, right? So that where that particular variable is going to be stored in our computer, so that particular address we are able to fetch with the help of this address operator or ampersand operator. So now here you assume I have declared a variable called x, and that variable is of type integer. Okay, and the value has also been initialized. X is equal to 15. So you can have a look here again in the small image here. What the memory, can you tell me what are the memory locations? Which are the memory addresses here? Which are
27,000.
I thought I people are not answering. I thought it is so difficult or the screen is not visible. I'm asking you which are the, first of all we need to identify the memory locations. They are starting from 2700.
27.
Yes, correct. And now can you tell me where the value x is stored? Where the variable x is stored?
2712.
2712. You can see here the value 15. 15 is assigned to which variable? It is assigned to the value
X.
to the variable x. Now let us understand. We have seen picture in the pictorial form that I have placed 15 here at a particular address 2712. But how do you write it? If you have to program, if you have to type it, how will you type it? So here see how it is written, and x. Okay, you have to write it before the variable name, and x, or this is called as address of x. So address of x gives us the address of the variable x, which is 2712. So ampersand and x will tell you how you, how you can fetch that particular memory location for that variable. Now let us understand this with the help of one program. So last year you people have worked on Ubuntu for C programming. How did you execute C programs? Can anyone tell me? In which interface?
Genie editor.
Genie editor.
Genie, ma'am.
Okay.
Genie.
So you people are used to this interface. So maybe currently,
Yes, ma'am.
if you do not have this installed on your systems, you can go for any online editors which are available online, or even you can go for there are certain apps at the Play Store you can download and you can try to execute it in the mobile. Okay, have a look at the program. So I don't have to tell you what is hash include and what is main. Just have a look at the program and then I will explain it. So here I have declared 4 variables. Okay, 2 variables a and b are of type integer, and third variable c is of type char, and the fourth variable f is of type float. Now I have 4 printf statements. So what these printf statements are doing? These printf statements are just printing the address. We are just trying to understand here where this particular variable might be stored. Also observe, I have not initialized these values in these variables. Okay. So we are just trying to understand how do you write a particular printf statement if you need to fetch the particular address. So I have written here address of, this is variable A, is equal to %p. So you usually write format specifiers here when you need to print. So usually for integer we write %d, then for float you would write %f. What is %p then? P is specific.
Pointer.
Yes, correct. P is used specifically to represent the pointers. Okay. So if I write D also, no, it is going to give me the address. But when I write it P, it will give me the hexadecimal values. So here I have written %p. Then as you know the syntax, you close the double quotes, give a comma. Then what is this and A? Or what is this ampersand A? Or what is address A? So this is the syntax that we are trying to fetch the address of the particular variable A which is stored in the memory location. So similarly, I have written 3 more printf statements and I have written just and B and C and F, which means I'm trying to fetch the addresses of the variables A, B, C and F. Did you follow this program?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. How about others? Only a few of them are telling me. I mean, there is actually nothing complicated in the program. But I'm asking you, I'm waiting for your acknowledgement. Have you people followed, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll call out a name. Let's see if somebody is able to explain it. Akanksha Patil,
Yes, ma'am.
please tell me what this program is about.
To find the variable address of the variable.
Correct. So how many variables have we declared here?
4 variables.
Then which are those 4 variables? I mean, which are the data types that we have declared for the 4 variables?
Integer, character, float.
Okay. Now, if I have to fetch the particular address, I have to fetch an address of a particular variable. What is the symbol or what is the syntax that I will use?
Address sign.
Which is that sign called as ampersand sign
Sign.
and followed by the variable. So let me run this program. We'll go to the terminal. So first we will compile. So we will write GCC. I hope you'll remember how do we compile the program, followed by the program name. What was the program name? Did anyone observe? What is the program name? var underscore address. So we have no errors. So we have executed to execute. The command is /a.out. So here, since we have 4 printf statements for the variables a, b, c and f, a, b, c and x. So here you see the addresses that are being displayed to you. This is an hexadecimal number. Okay. So this is an hexadecimal number. Now A and B were both of type integers. Have a look at the addresses here. Have a look at the last 2 digits. So here you can assume that it is starting the memory location for the variable A. is starting at the address 70. So how many bytes do we require for variable A, which is of type integer? You will require 2 or 4 bytes, depending on the architecture. So here it has taken 4 bytes. In my computer, it has taken 4 bytes. Maybe if you execute the same program on a different machine, it can take 2 bytes. So 4 bytes means count from 70. How much? 70. You have 71, 72, and 73. 4 bytes are allocated to memory in the memory location to the variable A. But you see only the first address is mentioned here. So the next 3 bytes are definitely for the variable A. Then the next one, address for the variable B is starting from 74. So soon after the variable A's allocation is over, it has allocated it to the memory B. So again from 74, 75, 76 and 77. So then after that you tell me what about these two memory locations? B ended at the memory location 77 and next one is here. This is of which type? The last variable we declared is of which type?
Float.
Float. So you can see it has started after B and 78 onwards again 4 bytes. What about this 7F?
Character.
This is character, just 1 byte. Now you might have a question like why these are not continuous. So since first of all we have 2 kinds of memory allocations that are happening. One is usually the memory is divided as a heap memory and a stack memory. Okay. Heap memory or stack memory it is called. Stack is not the stack that we studied again. This stack memory is different. So however the memory blocks are available, no, it is just going to go and place those variables there. So with the help of this ampersand operator, we are able to fetch these addresses for those particular variables. So as I said, we are just able to fetch it. We can't tell that you store this particular variable at this location, because maybe that particular location is already taken by some other variable or some other data is already stored there. So as and how the memory blocks are available, the machine goes on assigning it to those particular variables. So I hope you people remember what you studied in computer fundamentals, the hexadecimal number system. So this 7F indicates again, these, if you have a proper look at the entire address, it is an hexadecimal number. So is this program understood here? The concepts till here, you can ask any doubts that you have, any confusion that you have. Shall I proceed further?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Definitely I'm asking all of you, have you definitely understood this?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to go through the slide once again from the first one? Students, do you want me to go back to the first slide? Do you want to read through the 3 slides that we covered?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I hope this is an unanimous answer from all of you, because 1 or 2 students are replying. So that is whom I'm going to trust. Others also have to please speak up if you have certain doubts, you need repetitions, or you want to go through the slides. Let us understand the next concept, that is the indirection operator. Okay, this asterisk symbol, this is called as indirection operator. Now what is this indirection operator, or what does this asterisk symbol do? So what is, first of all, Rahul, please stop annotating on the screen. So this asterisk symbol is called as indirection operator or value at address operator. See, observe the last part of the sentence. Value at address operator. What is the meaning of this? Value at address. What are we trying to store at memory locations, or what are we trying to store at addresses? We are trying to store the
Variable.
values. not the variable, the values that the variable is holding. Like, we'll go back here. Value at address, right? So what is 15? Is 15 a value or is 15 a variable?
It's a
It is a
value.
value, ma'am.
The
Variable.
value, right? So what is this again telling you? Value at address. The address here is 2712. The value at that address. So if you want to access the value 15, we are going to make use of this particular operator, that is asterisk. Okay. So this is called as indirection or value at address. So what does it provide for? It provides for contents of the variable. Like when I said x is equal to 15, what was the content of the variable x? It was the value 15. Or you can also say that the value which is present at a particular address. So we are just trying to access the values of those variables, and those variables or those values which are stored at different memory locations in the computer. Let us have a look at the program. Take 2 minutes again, go through the program. Observe the printf statements. So I've declared a variable which is of type integer. And what is the value of x here? The value of x is 15, right? Now, first printf statement, value of x is equal to %d. %d is the format specifier that we use for data type, which is integer. And then I have just written the variable x, right? So can anyone tell me what this particular printf statement will print?
The value 15.
Value of
Okay, we'll just write here so that we can verify. So this is going to be 15. Then next printf statement, address of x. Now observe the format specifier that I have used. I have made use of a pointer. And how do we print the addresses? With the help of the ampersand operator here. So now, can anyone tell again what is going to be the print value here?
Address of
Address of x.
Address of x. So which we do not know, which could be any hexadecimal number here. So this is just going to be the address. Then we come to the third statement, which is about understanding the indirection operator. So this is just going to print the value stored at address of x. What is the value stored at address of x?
15.
Correct. It is it is this value. This particular value is stored at a particular memory location and we need to access it. So observe this statement here. So this is the statement. Asterisk symbol inside. Okay, we'll go step by step. First we will understand what AND X is going to give you, or ampersand X is going to give you. It is going to give me the address.
address.
Correct. And what is at this particular address? If I want to know what is stored at that particular address, then I'm going to make use of this asterisk symbol. And inside the bracket, you write that address. So this asterisk symbol will give me the value that is stored at this address. And the value we know. What is the value that is stored at this address? The value is 15. So the first printf and the third printf is going to give you the same value. It should give you the same value. Let me save this file. We'll run it. Have a look at the output. First printf statement, you all know we're directly printing the value of x. Second one, we have written ampersand and x, which means it is the address. So that address is getting printed. Now third one again, I'm trying to access the value with the help of addresses. See, you might say, ma'am, we can directly print it using this particular statement, right? We have already done that. You have done it in C programming. But here, when I say asterisk and when I say and x, I'm trying to access the values with the help of addresses. This is the difference. I'm not directly taking the value there. I'm not asking for the value directly. I'm saying at that particular address, through the address I'm traveling here. Through the address, through the memory locations, I'm trying to get the value which is stored. So how do we do that? Have a look once again here in the program. This is the statement. With the help of asterisk, I'm going to get the value. Remember that. And with the help of ampersand, I will be getting the addresses. So a combination of this will give me what? It is going to give me the value which is going to be stored at that address. So if I have to make you understand here, I'll write what asterisk does. So asterisk here is going to give me the value. Value of what it is? It is the value of this particular variable x, right? So this and x is nothing but it is the address. So if I take this is how it is working. It is going to tell me the value which is present at this particular address. Did you all follow this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.